and welcome to Bump Love. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? If you haven't, take a second, pause, please subscribe. Welcome ladies to the show. It's good to have you here. Ladies, we talk about motherhood today. What are your considerations on becoming a mother? Lately, many mothers prefer to have fewer children. What do you think is the reason why?
I think I've had a lot of people talk about the economy here in Uganda, and how taking care of children is very demanding financially. And so people would rather have few. And by few, I mean 1 to 2 children, even 3 usually. Some parents are getting jittery about having 3 children because that means millions of money in school fees. It means in feeding, it means medical help, their medical bills. And so economy is a big reason. But the other one that I'm now seeing and being more aware of is people are very cognizant of the world that we live in terms of like the evil and the way it's becoming increasingly difficult to raise children. So in our parents' generation, we were a lot more protected. There was a whole village raising children. We were in gated communities. Now more than ever, it's very difficult to know which path your child is going to take because there's so much noise on social media. The world is getting braver and braver in its evils. And so many people are just like, yo, I don't want to bring a child into this world because I'm going to be responsible for them. And I mean, kudos to you because you're thinking about it before you have children. Many of us think about having children after we have had children. You know, we think back, why did I want to have kids? Maybe it was somewhere there in your subconscious because you know life has a natural progression. You go to school, maybe get married, and then have children. And so we just follow the natural progression of life. And then when we have kids, we're like, man, kids, it is tough raising children. You know, and then there are people who are thinking before they fall into the trap of natural progression, where it's like, will I manage? You know, am I naturally inclined to wanting children? Maybe not. But also with everything that's happening in our world today, do I want to raise a child in this era? And it's a genuine concern.
Yeah,
it's a genuine concern.
But few is subjective. When
that
you
is
say
true.
Few, very subjective.
Yeah,
Your few might not be my few. My few might be 10 because my father had 20. Sure. And someone's few might be 2 because, I mean, that's just how they conceive few.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. Few is 10. Yeah, out of 1,000, pick a few. Mangoes.
You pick few.
That's few.
That's true.
But besides the economy or financial, which is really key, I think the other one would be the work-life balance. You don't have enough time for your children. So why are you having so many? You have few that you can give a bit of the little time that you have and manage. So I feel like that is something that people are really putting into consideration. Our mothers back then didn't work as much as we do. I think my mom didn't work that much, or she worked from home.
Work out of the house.
Out of the house.
Most of their work was within the home.
Oh yes. And like myself, who is always, running around doing all sorts of things. So that work-life balance and also a bit of, that independence, because man, having children means these.
Ties you down.
It really, really does. Yeah. So I feel like those are some of the things that mothers are putting in perspective before they consider.
And I think when you speak on independence, you raise a very big important point, because I think that more women now are mentally independent. Mentally independent meaning that they have the ability now to make their own choices that are good for them, as opposed to what society has dictated should fulfill them. Let's be honest, you said children do take a lot. While children add a lot of value, yes,
they also take
a lot. And some people, they take freedom, your independence, your relationships with other people, they take away from your time. And while I believe that for everything they take, something is replaced and maybe better, some women focus more on what's being taken away and attach more value to that which is being taken away. So if I decide that, no, I really want my freedom with me, I want my independence, I don't want to be relied on 100%, then I'm able to make a choice for me that, okay, I've decided that 3 children, I can do with a 3. Or I can do with a 4. While my mom was able to have 8 or 9 or 10, I really can't manage the 8 or 9 children. I might have the means, the financial means, maybe, but I don't see how I can sacrifice a whole 10 years to have all the 18 years and more to raise these children. So I think there's a lot to do with more mental independence, because there was a time, and I think we've spoken on this show before, for me, I always say that my mom told me, have the number of children that you, Nanabatwa, can manage. But most people have the number of children as discussed in the home. For me, I can't do it. Nope. It's me, Nabatwa. The number of children I can manage will always supersede any other discussion. So even if there's a partner somewhere and they say, I might compromise and we see maybe, but at the end of the day, I'll have a limit. And if my limit is 2, it will always, that is it. Whether they say, let's discuss 3, I'm not in that discussion. I'm out of it. So I think there's a lot to do with mental independence, which maybe there's a generation that before that maybe was not allowed. Not that they always felt that what society dictates, their society and culture.
Was it ever a conversation about managing? You are an adult, you get into a home, of course you are expected to have children.
The conversation was on the other side. The conversation was that you're a woman, you're meant to have children.
Exactly.
That was the only conversation.
That is it.
So as an extension of what Pumla said, I think that the other gender got women here. We're just like, just in case he decides to, at least I can manage this number, like they are good for me. I can manage, I can pay school fees, I can do all of those things. I feel that the way women complained about marriages in the past and having to care for children alone, or that the man has passed away and she's there, she has covered with all these children. I think there's so many single homes where moms really suffered that now everybody else is walking like, I'm woke. I'm aware that anything can happen, and therefore, can I be ready as me, myself? So, yeah.
Oh, she said she doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't understand
what you guys are on.
I know.
No, because when you think about it, you have sex, you have a baby, right? That's a natural thing.
So maybe we should bring up the fact that maybe now we also have more access to contraceptives as well. There was a time when women, I've read in books, like they had their own natural ways
of managing,
But the fact that now as we have like real stoppers, which work, you know?
So more and more.
So it looks like they did want to control the number of children, but
maybe they don't have.
And
also, we're getting married. Remember, we're getting married and having children older.
Later in life.
They were so fertile. They started really young.
Because they were getting married young.
So the children, but now it's actually even more difficult.
Yes, there's also that.
Because we're having children much
later in life.
After 30, someone remembers
to get married.
Ask the question again. Maybe I didn't
You didn't understand it?
Maybe.
You understood it, Bambi.
Why are women choosing to have fewer children lately?
How about why?
Why?
You get me. That's where I think many of the problems that the world has now is because we have taken choice to another level. We are choosing. Oh, I'm going to have 2 children because those are the 2 children I can manage, and still even when the time comes for you to manage them, you can't.
So imagine if there were 5.
You get me? No, hold on. Then even there are those who have 18, like for example, someone would be like, oh, have children. My grandmother had 18 children. She died with 2. So if we can personally, I think we overthink things. And then we become selfish. Oh gosh, if I have too many babies, my stomach, my boo-boo, my this. To be honest, I don't know why women are choosing to do that.
And yet I think I agree with her. okay, not agreeing, but I know what you mean, because I've not met any older person. I personally haven't met any older person who will tell me it's okay to have one child. I don't know why, but I respect the fact that they have gray hair. There's a reason.
They don't tell you because you're not in those spaces.
Auntie, I am in those spaces.
No, you're not, because you have more children than what is the average for the urban area. So
is it?
Yes. So me, I find
age,
myself interacting with many women and older women. Well, like, it's okay. I even interacted with Maria Maggie Chigozi the other day.
Of course, it is okay.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
It is okay.
You tell me.
What I'm saying is that
I'm
yes,
in the space
it is
that wants to hear that.
True.
Yeah.
It is okay. But
it's
older
okay.
people will always tell you having more children is like saying having more love or having more life or having more breath.
Because they attach more value to those things, whereas there are people who don't attach as much value to those.
Do you attach value to breathing?
Of course I do attach value to breathing.
So all those natural things, going to the toilet, you don't talk about it, but you have to.
Yeah.
Just like we were created to make children.
I don't believe that to be true. That's a traditional stereotype, a gender role that you've placed me in a box where you have.
You've not been placed in a box. God put a uterus in your body.
So are you saying that the ones with uteruses and cannot have children are disabled?
I'm saying if there were no preventative measures, you were given a nose to breathe. You were given a uterus that if you put things into it, it will create something. If you can't create, that's different. But you can't.
But also what I got from you was that it's like how a cup is designed to be drunk from. The female body was designed to have babies.
But you don't have to. Just because it's been designed that way does not mean that.
And that's why I said I started with choice. Right? And the thing is, the thing about choices, when you make a choice, you cannot backtrack from it.
Oh yes, you can.
You can.
Hold on, I'm saying, for example, you're now backtracking at 55. Can you have more children then?
You can backtrack at a certain point.
That's what I'm saying. That after, because remember we have a shelf, a sell-by date shelf, right?
Yes.
So you can't be 60 and you're thinking, maybe I could have had more children.
That as long as you have full information, you have to be accountable for the decisions you make and the consequences thereof.
Full information, no doubt, comes at different levels of your life. What you see as full information at 20 is different at 30. We're talking about self-actualization, right?
Yes.
The thing about having children, and we're talking about many children, it's not even about just having children.
We're talking about fewer children.
That's why I'll backtrack and say, those who've had fewer children, we can see how you are looking after them very well.
And yet, I believe that the Lord blesses accordingly. The Lord blesses. If He has said Rosette will have 4 children. Because sometimes I look at them and I'm like, oh my goodness,
all these are mine.
All these are mine.
And how do you say?
I'm like,
hold on, Rosette. Do you ever say like all these? It's always. These are mine,
and you're proud.
Not even proud.
And we love that for you.
Exactly.
We love that for you.
Yes.
Especially when I'm in old age, you will converse.
Yes.
Well, Caspi party.
No, I'm saying in old age, I'm not cussing. I'm just saying the older we grow. Because me, I've seen the way I was in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s. As I grow older, I'm like.
As you, Angie, grows older.
The thing about
remember, we're saying everybody has given their submission. This is mine.
That's you.
That's what I have seen.
The older women grow, or human beings grow, what you thought then is not what happens. And the problem is that you can get to a certain stage and you can't reverse that process. That's all I'm saying.
And I feel I'm always here to assure you that we are saying the same thing. The thing
kind
is,
of.
and Pumla mentioned it, that when you make a choice, you talked about choices.
Our choice.
You are accountable for your choice at all the stages. So if you choose to have one child, forever, if you never change your mind, it will work for you. You will make it work for you. The same way you have 4 children, or 2 or 3. those ones will work for you, and as life changes and as life is dynamic, at every stage you will make it work, because that's the choice you have made.
Because that's the
Apart
choice.
from children being a blessing, what other blessing have your children come with?
So I'll
Apart
start.
from the children themselves.
Oh,
Themselves,
the children
yeah.
themselves,
Being
yes,
a
because
blessing.
children are a blessing.
Are they?
They are. So
Blessed is the man whose quiver
is full of them, says the Bible.
Full, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. His quiver is full of them. So this is what I feel, and I've said this on the show before. For me, motherhood was an inevitable thing in my life.
Yeah.
And I think even from as early as maybe 5 or 4, I always had that thing, I guess would call it maternal instinct. I had that thing at the back of my mind that I am going to be a mother someday, because I love the idea of that dependence. While you abhor it, for me it's like, I want someone to depend on me. I want someone to rely on me. Yes.
It gives you power.
It gives me, yeah, it sort of gives, it gives me, it has given me a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment that I am able to pour into another child and raise this child as God enables me. The second thing, which I firmly believe, and you could say this is based on my faith, but as a personal value, I feel that children are given to us as we are stewards. The children belong to God.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we keep saying children are a blessing. And I believe, and it just gives me so much joy to know that I am a co-laborer with God in raising this human being. When God wants to do things, yes, co-partnership. So when he wants to do things on earth, he can come here the way he looks. No one knows what he looks like, but he chooses to use human beings. The same way when he was planning redemption, he worked with Mary. He could have just found a human being and said, you come here and save, die for people, right? But he went through Mary. The natural progression of things said you'll get pregnant. Of course, it wasn't through sex. It was by the Holy Spirit. You'll get pregnant and have a child. And so the way I view motherhood is I am a co-laborer, like I'm in partnership with God to raise this individual.
raise
Of course,
that
it also raises the pressure and the bar.
Right.
Yeah, because I need to be able to help him walk in his purpose.
And to be accountable.
And
properly.
accountable. But for me, I honestly consider it a privilege to partner with God in raising and
Of
nurturing
course, when you
them.
say it like that, that's like divine.
It-
I'm in a co-partnership with
God, yes. Wow.
Wow.
Multiple times.
afresh.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You've had statements.
Use your womb.
Yeah, I like the statements of God chose me to be
To
your
be your mother,
I
yes.
am so
Yes.
humbled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a powerful statement for God to choose you, to bring those children to life, to watch them grow. The truth is, you need to be accountable at the end of the day. That's why it's very painful for a child, for a mother, when their child doesn't come out right. Like it's so painful.
And I'd rather have 10 sons out of them, you can get married.
In the basket.
At least if you have one, two.
You don't put your eggs all in one
Really. But anyhow, I like that motherhood gives you strength that you didn't know you had.
yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
You bring this child into the world and you raise them and you're like, oh my God, this is power. Like I'm a powerful person. I created someone.
Yeah.
So I like that. Besides them just being a blessing, they grow you, they make you a better person.
Yeah.
If you thought that you were a certain kind of way, oh me, I'm not patient, my dear. If you teach you
I
how
learned
to
to be patient.
Teach for patience with kids. So they teach you, they humble you, and they mold you into a better human. I feel like they mold each and every one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they mold us into better beings, really, because you need to show a better example. So you can't be fake and then raise someone. So
children,
you always say, if you're the one who used to scream and curse, you're like, Bananga, I have kids.
kids.
Now I can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
No, for sure, motherhood being a mom has made me a much more improved version. Keeps improving the versions of myself. So I know I'm definitely becoming better. And because the fact that I know that all the decisions I made, we've spoken about choice earlier, but my choices now have to include somebody else. Usually my choices are just for me. Yeah, and they usually just affect me.
Yeah.
But every decision I make or don't affects my child as well. So, and this I feel like my son has helped me have a smoother sailing in my 30s. You know, the 20s are very tumultuous. And it's the time when you're supposed to be testing the waters, making all these mistakes. But people forget, and it is not something you can tell a 20-year-old because they are in it. They are in the mud of it, and they are enjoying it, and that's what they're supposed to be doing, right? But you forget that after that period comes a time of accountability. But then how are you accountable when you messed up the whole of your 20s? You were doing what you were supposed to do. It's not even being messed up. You were doing what you were supposed to do. Now imagine
you were enjoying
if you were enjoying, but now imagine you have a child in your earliest 20s. And so the tone for your 20s is now set. You start making a foundation for your 30s in your 20s. So by the time I reach 30, I see like a couple of my friends now are just now settling in. And yet for me, my 30s, I'm had the smoothest sailing ever because my son's now grown. I'm now able to do other things. My son forced me to set, because if God had given me the 20s to myself,
We don't know
that child of mine. That child of mine. No, her mother prayed for her. Her mother.
Let me help her.
Let me help her. Let me assist her. So I believe honestly.
You could have been the 30-year-old with 6 kids because of the choices you made in your 20s.
Could have, possibly, that's also true. So for me, Teja, to be honest, I feel like he put me in track to be where I am now in this moment at
Isn't
this
that
point.
amazing?
I definitely would not have been here if not for that.
I agree.
Yep. And I'm really thankful. For it. And I didn't need 6 children to do it, just the one. Just the one.
Just the one. That's true.
Manuela, you share?
No. I feel like what Rachel you said, just
You've resonated.
What can you
I
add?
create. Like
You create,
my story, even when I'm not doing much.
It's create,
Like, wow.
It's amazing.
Wow, you said that. I did that. I think like the feelings that we get for our children or for motherhood are mostly the same. But somebody mentioned humbling. Children can humble you. You're organized, they will disorganize you. But I love children, but I also have to be honest. You're organized, they will disorganize you. You have a good body, they will disorganize your boob.
Your stomach.
Right?
And we love you, right? We love them. But children, you think you're intelligent, kid comes out daft as hell. Of course. It's like you see a handsome man, beautiful woman, children look like them, but not very
much so.
Wow,
So,
Auntie.
Humbling.
Humbling.
Motherhood can be pretty humbling. Though Manuela, when you had the baby, you were still in the high heels. She jumped to
Just walking about.
the first time I met her, she was in these high Louis Vuittons, and I'm thinking, really, madam? She's like, Angie, I remove them, set them aside, but I will wear
walk in
them.
them.
But children can really humble
But
you.
as I'm growing up, like for me, I've always been those people who I didn't want motherhood
To cramp your style, to change you.
And yet it does.
I think I still fight. Like I'm just like I want to be organized. So all of you,
You're going to be
get
organized.
in line. I want to do this. All of you fall in line. So I kind of feel like I'm that person who I'm fighting. Yes, there are obviously changes that it has caused. But I don't want it to be that now I can't wear a certain dress. So maybe go to the gym and work out. You can't do what
Some of the
you know,
effects are
reversible.
reversible.
If someone, you go to drop children and women have come with their thing on their head.
The bonnet.
I think that they are
And then they are like, they're happy.
That's
Yes,
true.
absolutely.
I'm like, but before they were not that.
Yeah, but
like,
now they
before
are.
They are not like that. They are very collected and what. And some you will find that they are happy to. I don't know who is happy to walk around with their breasts like.
I think it
Anyway, let's
comes
just
down to
say
choices.
let's
You
just
can
say.
choose
Yeah.
for
Because for me,
motherhood to humble you.
No, but let us be more organized when we enter a public environment like a school with your breasts out. Let's be
Out or no, just not
choice.
kulega.
Choice. Yeah, not Yes, not kulega.
Yeah,
but
because
it reaches up to
before I had
here.
the baby, I didn't choose to kulega.
No,
Now that I've had the baby,
Let's be more organized. Yes, you can.
and Bazungu are the ones who brought the kalega. Otherwise,
you can have choice.
That's how
But since we are all kulegari in the presence of our children.
we actually got a DM that prompted us to get into this conversation. Manuela, do you want to read that DM for us?
Yes. So, hey Bump Club, I'm not a mother, but as an African woman, I'm expected to be someday. But the truth is, since I was a child, I've never felt the need to have babies. It's not because I don't love them. God knows I love kids so much. But whenever I look around and see what's happening in this world, I ask myself, why would I want to bring a child in this mess? So ladies, have any of you ever felt like that? Or you all always knew you wanted children? Am I a terrible human being for not wanting them? I'm a Christian, and some days I judge myself.
I never wanted to have children.
Oh,
No, I'd never even dreamt of being married or having children until they came. Ooh.
Until they came.
until they came.
So she's speaking because maybe she hasn't had them. But if someone like Pumla says, I've had one and that's it, now that one is speaking from a position of I've tested it and this is good enough.
And I found what I knew before.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, don't think that having the child made me change my thought process before.
It remained the
Remained
same.
the same.
The only difference is now you have Teja. So, yeah.
Yeah. And there's a
I also
question
didn't.
into that.
Oh, yeah.
At what point did you know that you were meant to be a mother?
When I was
When they
pregnant,
came.
when they came.
when they
Yeah.
came.
When they came,
Yeah.
I shared on the show before, I never ever wanted to have children. I only had my child to tick a box. Love you, Teja. We've had this conversation before, so I know it's good for you. My son watches Bump Love. Love him for it. And I only knew that I was meant to be a mother after my divorce. So that's when my son was 3 years old. I believe, so this is my theory, I believe that every single person is meant to be here. All children are meant to be born, but I don't believe every woman is meant to be a mother. I don't believe that the mother who mothered you is always meant to be a mother. The one who gave birth to you. Because DNA doesn't make you a parent.
Yes.
Responsibility does, presence, dependability, love, those are things that make you a parent. Not DNA. So when I had my child, I honestly believed that my child was meant to be here. But I did not understand that it was in my purpose, it was in my books until my divorce. Because when I was going through my divorce, I wondered, I didn't want to be married. I didn't want to have children. So why is it that God has put these things, I call it life, but I know many people call it God, so just so you can understand where I'm coming from. So I was wondering why, it's not the same thing, why would life or God put these things in my path and so quickly take them away from me, just like pull the rug under me like this. And so I've always known that for everything that happens in your life, seek the lessons. Don't dwell on the situation. Seek the lessons. If something's happened, you're going through a cycle, it's a loss of something, but why did that thing come to you for you to lose it, right? So when I did some soul searching, I realized that, Pumla, remember, I'm a progressive woman, but I'm still held by certain traditional and cultural upbringing. I was never ever going to have children out of wedlock. Yeah, I know for a fact. So if I had not been married, I would be here at 37 without children if I was not going to be married. And then I realized, God made me meet a man who I could fall in love with to propose to me very quickly before my mind is corrupted. When you're older, then your mind gets corrupted. You start thinking for yourself. Yeah. So he made sure it happened so quickly at a time when I didn't feel independent enough to make the choices for myself. And then he gave me a child. No sooner was that child born than my marriage collapsed. And I was out of there in no time. And when I did, the only reason that I feel I got out of that marriage was my son. And that is when I learned I was supposed to be a mother. Never a second before.
I really love what you're bringing on the table today, because when I lost my first child, that's when I knew that I was meant to be a mother. Because I got pregnant with my first, and that was it. I didn't think about it. I'm like, yeah, we're happy. You know what's happened? After I lost that,
child,
and you said it, the lessons I didn't dwell so much on the incident. I'm like, what have I learned from this?
Yeah.
Okay, like I prayed, but yeah, I did pray, I did, ask for better. But at that point, I knew that I need this. Like, why did God bring it and take it away? There's a lesson that you had wanted for me in this whole scenario. So when I got pregnant again, I appreciated, like, I wanted it. I'm like, oh God, let me have this child.
Let me ask, because you're kind of speaking the same thing. So are we saying, because in both cases, you lost something for you to appreciate something even more, right?
Sometimes that's how you learn. Or that's how you realize
That's
that
how
you needed something.
I realized that I'm meant to be a mother. Yeah. When I
Yeah.
lost, I didn't feel a better time to yearn. Like I was really yearning. I was hoping that I
That
could
it
become
comes
a
back.
mother
Yeah.
again. Yeah. So
I
for me, that gave me the realization. So when the baby came, I appreciated, because I know you can lose. Yeah. So
And the loss meant something to you. I think, just to speak to the person who sent us this DM, you are not a terrible person.
Not at all.
What you're feeling now, and I think I'm learning in life just to appreciate the journey as it is, like, because what I feel she's doing is thinking about the future.
Yes.
Which you don't really have control over. You can make choices now that might lead you to the expected end. But look, Pumla wasn't thinking about children or babies, but God allowed it to happen, same as Angie. And I think that many times we get overwhelmed by thinking, oh my gosh, right now, in this moment, I don't feel like having children. Or you check with yourself a month later, actually, I still don't feel like having children. Number one, you might feel differently 3 years from now, and it's okay as well. Maybe you will meet a man who will change your perspective on having children. You will love him so much that creating life makes sense with him. Or you might change your mind. Whatever the case is, allow today to happen. And it's okay not to want them now. You are not evil. It's not really a prerequisite for you to enter heaven, because you said something about
That's so true.
being Christian and judging herself. You don't have to don't condemn yourself for not desiring children. It is okay for now not to want them. In the future, if it so happens that you never have children, you will still get to heaven, because your salvation or your faith is not dependent on you having children. Yes, God gave the command when he created Adam and Eve, but it was not a you must have children, because if you don't have children,
That's
then
why some people have been barren, all made by God. So
there you go. So I would say to you, think about now and enjoy now. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. Acknowledge your feelings, acknowledge your desires, but let them not be oh my gosh, the future looks bleak, because what am I going to do? I remember we had a show here where we talked about what we were like before motherhood, and somebody reached out to me to ask about the whole childbearing. And I remember what I told her, which might make sense to this person, is fine, you might get to the point where you are married now and you still don't want children. I'm hoping that you will have had that discussion with your spouse, because I've also seen scenarios where they have those conversations and the man just says yes because he wants to get married, hoping that you will change your mind, which is recipe for disaster. Because once you're not aligned, it's such a fundamental in a home and in a marriage that you have to agree and be on the same page. And I told her this, I said, it's okay for you not to naturally gravitate towards children or childbearing, but be prepared to answer to society. Again, like you said, being accountable for your choice. Yes, and in the hope that even your spouse will cover you. Because you might have made the decision together, but his families, they were not in the conversation. Yeah, so hopefully that he's not saying, oh, why? She's the one who decided, me, I'm just going along with the decision. I hope that he's going to cover you with your family, with society, with people who will ask, because the truth is society will ask.
Yes, and I like what you say, and please, I want you to note Rachel's words. Be ready to respond to society.
Yes.
Over and over.
Yes.
But don't be pressured by society.
Yes.
Don't let people come and tell you what isn't, yet it is what you know,
it's what you
for
know
sure.
for sure. Yeah.
But you see,
You're
character
able,
will also matter, isn't
you're
it?
able, yes, I agree, and you can build character. You can build
You
strength.
have to build character
You have
to
to
do
build
this one.
thick skin.
Yep.
I didn't want to have children. But even now with my one child,
You see people
them in this
still come
show,
at
I'm
you.
still defending my one child choice. I defend myself. I have to. It's not even that I defend. I respond.
Yeah.
Because it is. You have to be cognizant of the society that you live in.
Yeah.
We live in a society where people expect you to have children,
Yes.
and they expect it to be natural. And yet
Yes.
it isn't. I was talking to Manuela yesterday, and I was telling her, Manuela, I'm doing this research, but it's mind-blowing that of the women who don't want to have children, 6% actually say that I don't want to have children because I'm not naturally gravitating towards that.
it,
I
yeah.
have no maternal instinct.
No desire.
I don't feel any desire. When I see a child, I see a paper. I see nothing. I don't feel the need to love
Yeah.
or be loved unconditionally by that thing. I feel that my fulfillment comes from so many other things. And I just want to say that our roads and journeys and paths towards happiness are different.
Yeah.
For some people, their life journeys have children in them and they
Yeah.
are fulfilled.
Yeah.
And there are others whose life journeys don't have children,
Yeah.
and it is okay. And I still want to, choice for me is the most powerful thing in the world. The fact that you as an individual can make a decision without bias or influence from society, from communities, from people, and make an independent choice based on what you believe, on what your core values are. For me,
Yeah.
that's power in choice. So if you're 100% sure and you know that I am choosing not to have children, in the secular world, you say you're Christian, in the secular world, and I don't know much of that direction, in the secular world, it's okay. You don't have to have children. But what my issue is that I feel like you're making a decision based on fear. If you live your life based on what you don't know might happen, you will never ever live a complete life.
Yeah.
You should be able to say, I don't want to have children because I don't want to have children. What value are they adding to me? I don't see it. And I'm not invalidating your reason. It is a valid reason because it's your fear.
Yeah.
It's your journey and you're allowed to be fearful. But your life will forever, you'll always miss opportunities and goodness that this world and this life is giving to you because you fear to take to take. So my issue with the DM was that yes, you're allowed to not want to have children, but the reason for not wanting is fear.
It's fear,
Fear is holding you back
Yes.
from possibilities that you don't know. And usually people who fear evil, usually it's because they are having a problem dealing with that evil in the world. They're having a hard time dealing with it.
Yeah.
So if I'm the adult and I'm the parent and it's the evil, the harshness of the world is bogging me down, then how am I going to raise a child?
How?
So maybe you deal with your own insecurities first and and see if as an improved person and a better person and a more confident person, you still have the same thoughts, then that's fine.
Then that's fine.
That was the first one. The second one is that if you make a choice today, educate yourself. Because you don't want to reach 60 and regret. And by the way, it is okay to reach 60 and have some moments of regret.
Yeah.
Because that's life. You know, you can decide to do things and then you think back, maybe I should have had children. Maybe I shouldn't. But then speak to people who haven't had children before, people who have had one child before and are much older and can tell you from a position of, yeah, maybe this is the world. And unfortunately, you will not find many in Africa. So you might want to
look
outsource, elsewhere. But make sure that you have full information of what means for you today, tomorrow, and in a time to come. Because there's a reason why people are saying, there's
a reason why we are like,
we are
stunned.
like wondering, right? Yeah. So it's just that have full information so that whatever decision you make or don't, you remain fully accountable and responsible for it. No questions asked, no regrets.
I love that.
And if he says that they are a blessing from him, then I'm like with Rachel. I'm like, why are you on it? Like I mean, it's
not really upon you.
It's not really upon you because, you can decide that I not have and they come. And they come.
But if it is his,
if
he has decided,
three types of contraception,
and still
they are
baby
like,
come holding the coil in
Holding
their hand.
in their hands.
Lol.
Jokes on you.
Blake is a postino baby, so you can do all you want.
Yeah, but if he has willed
He has
it,
decided.
Man who says it's coming, you can tell yourself all you want.
It will
You've heard
happen.
of even people who are aborting.
Yeah.
God, they are like success story abortion.
Shock upon shock.
Before they know it, they have a child. So I feel like many times we've especially for us as Christians and where our faith is, we don't realize how much power God has on to that blessing.
Sure.
And also now when they've come out of this world, I keep asking people, there's so much evil in this world, but you're not evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not.
You're
Yeah,
not. By the
you're
time
not.
you can recognize that
There's
that's
evil.
and there's evil and
Yes,
there's, oh my
yes,
God. For you,
yes.
how come you're okay? I know that we keep saying motherhood has no manual and all of that stuff, but when you think about it, the way you were raised, you can like, my mother did like this at the very least.
Yeah.
You will
At
turn
the
out
very
like
least,
me.
You will turn out like
me.
And I'm not. Yeah, and you talk to yourself. I'm not. Well, I'm not too evil. Nina, I'm not going to go and get back. Really, honestly,
okay.
I'm not that evil. But even then, even if you are evil, the scriptures say that your children will be taught of the Lord, and great shall be
Their
peace. So even teaching is not in your hands.
You get,
You're like, yes, no. Because, I mean, how many moms have you gone and they've really taught their children in the right way?
Exactly.
Choka, their children are the ones who are jumping the fence, they are the
Yeah.
ones who are having unprotected sex before time, they are the ones who are shooting and killing people.
This is true.
Sure.
You really honestly have no control. So can you just
Relax.
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 and relax? Just, you have it in the back of your head that but realize that actually I have no power.
Not much
Yeah.
control.
Decide.
And when the time comes, we shall
We'll
continue
work
from
as
there.
We are in the world, but we are not for the world. I love that submission, Manuela. Do share with us in the comment section on what your thoughts are on motherhood. Were you ready? Are you not, thinking of being a mother? It's all right. You can have 1, 2, or 10, and it's just fine. We are at the beautiful Golden Tulip. You can come here, amazing. Bring your family, friends. There's brunch every Sunday. 90,000 for adults and 60,000 for children. Do come and enjoy a good time at the Golden Tulip. Until next time, with love from Bumfla.